Have any bourbon?
Thank you. I did need another drink. I'm just gonna sit.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Beth. That will be all.
Oui, monsieur.
Well, where is our host?
He's not here.
Nobody's here. What is happening?
Cigarette? It'll calm your nerves.
I don't smoke.
For Wadsworth. Open after dinner. It's for you.
Right then. Are you comfortable?
I make a good living.
Out with it, Wadsworth. Ladies and gentlemen, these instructions are clear.
I'm glad something is.
It seems the 6 of you have all received the same letter. It will be to your advantage to be present on this evening because a Mr. Body will bring to end a certain long-standing, confidential, and painful financial liability.
Yes,
mind,
that's
sit
what I
down.
said.
As it turns out, you all have one thing in common.
At Tyra McCarthy, we're all being blacklisted, aren't we?
First, Colonel, you're all being blackmailed. For some considerable time, all of you have been paying more than you can afford to someone who threatens to expose you.
Well, what would somebody want to blackmail me for? I go to church every Sunday. Yeah, lady, don't we all?
Anybody else wish to deny it? Until you'd received your letters, none of you knew he was blackmailing you. I hope I'm correct that even the least discerning amongst you has reasoned that the man behind your ransom is, of course, Mr. Body himself.
Yes.
What is it down,
Who is this body fellow, you brutish butler?
Mr. Body is no son of yours. Suffice it to say, he's a supporter of the House Un-American Activities Committee, and he feels your activities have been decidedly un-American.
You see these medals?
My task this evening is to expose your secrets to each other, rendering you all culpable in each other's indiscretions.
But we hardly even know each other.
Precisely.
Don't you think you might spare us this humiliation?
I'm afraid I have no choice. Let's see. We'll start with you, Professor Plum.
Ooh, this ought to be good.
Let's see. It says here you were once a professor of psychiatry, specializing in pathological, lying lunatic suffering from delusions of grandeur.
Yes, but I work for the U.S. government.
So your work has not changed. But you can't practice medicine anymore, can you, Professor? Your license has been lifted, correct?
Why would he do?
You know how male doctors aren't supposed to date their lady patients?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he did.
How awful! You know, someday there will be a reckoning for men like you.
I hope so.
Me too.
Disgusting.
Are you making moral judgments, Mrs. Peacock?
Well, I
How
can't.
then did you justify taking bribes in return for delivering Senator Peacock's votes to certain lobbyists?
My husband is a paid consultant. There's nothing sinful about that.
Not if it's publicly declared, but if you slip cash under the stall door or Debit's grill, how do you describe that transaction?
I'd say it stinks.
When were you in the men's room?
So it's true.
No, it's a vicious lie.
But you've been paying the blackmail for over a year now to keep that story out of the papers, Mrs. Peacock. Seems a little sticky. No.
Now you see here.
Well, I'm willing to believe you. I too need blackmail for something I didn't do.
So am I.
Not me.
You're not being blackmailed.
Oh, I'm being blackmailed, all right. I just did what I'm being blackmailed for.
What did you do?
I run a non-governmental agency that handles classified affairs.
Affairs? In Washington?
Is that how you know Colonel Mustard works in Washington? Is he one of your clients?
Certainly not.
I was asking Miss Scarlet.
Well, do tell him it's not true.
It's not true.
Is that true?
No, it's not true.
Ah, so it is true.
A double negative. Double negative? You have photographs.
Oh, well, that sounds like a confession to me. In fact, your double negative has led to proof positive. I'm afraid you gave yourself away.
You trying to make me look stupid in front of all the other guests?
You don't need any help from me, sir.
Thank you. Now, wait a minute.
No, it looks like you hold a sensitive security post in the Pentagon. Those negatives would most certainly compromise your position, you know?
And what position exactly were you caught in, Colonel?
This is outrage.
Moving on, let's see. Who's next? Mrs. White, you've been paying off on the blackmail ever since your husband died under, shall we say, mysterious circumstances.
Say what you want. I didn't kill him.
Well, then why are you paying the blackmail?
I don't want another scandal, do I? We had a very humiliating confrontation. He had threatened to kill me in public.
Well, why would he want to kill you in public?
Well, I think she meant that he'd threatened in public to kill her.
It was all over the papers.
And yet he was the one who died, not you, Mrs. White, not you!
He was found dead at home, unclothed. His head had been cut off, and so does you know. But I didn't do it. I've been out all evening at the movies.
What was showing?
The Naked Alibi.
A likely story.
But he was your second husband, Mrs. White. Your first also disappeared.
That was his job. He was an illusionist.
He never reappeared.
He wasn't a very good illusionist.
And lastly, Mr. Green, who was
I don't need to unmask me, Wadsworth. I know what you're going to say about me.
What's that?
Mr. Green, who is a homosexual.
Not me.
I beg your pardon?
You asked who the... Who was a homosexual? And I said not me.
Yes, thank you, Colonel. But there's more to it than that, Mr. Green.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, there's evidence to suggest the question of your politics.
Oh, my politics? Since when is working for the Republican Party a crime?
You swore an oath of allegiance to the Republican Party, yet you neglected to vote for Eisenhower in the last election. That's grounds for an ousting if ever there was one.
Oh, but voting records are confidential.
Everything has its price, Mr. Green.
So, there you have it.
Have what?
A crooked senator's wife, a lascivious doctor, a disloyal Republican, not exactly adhering to an on record set of behavior, are we?
Depends on who you ask.
If his body felt such a noble civilian himself, why didn't he just report us to the authorities?
Oh, and miss out on the opportunity to make a buck? Come now, Professor, what could be more American than that? Apple pie.
All right, Wadsworth. So, we're being blackmailed by a renegade McCarthyist. Where does that leave us?
Who is this Mr. Bonney?
And what does he want from us?
Who cares? I'm not waiting to find out. I've done nothing wrong. I'm leaving.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Peacock. You can stay in denial, but you don't leave this house.
I am the wife of a great senator. You can't tell me what to do. Locked?
Indeed. All the doors are locked, the windows are barred, and the grounds are patrolled by vicious dogs. There's no way out. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to your host for the evening and your blackmailer for life, Mr.